So when you look at a car, what's the first thing you notice? Probably the sleek lines on top, right? The cool spoiler, the shape of the hood. But what if I told you the most important aerodynamic work is happening somewhere you can't even see? Okay, let's get into it.
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? We're so focused on what the wind sees on the shiny parts, but the real chaos, the real chance to gain performance, it's all happening underneath, between the wheels and the pavement.
And this picture shows you exactly why. I mean, just look at that mess of airflow. Unlike the smooth, clean top surface of the car, the bottom is a total battlefield. You've got exposed suspension parts, the exhaust system, drive shafts, all of it just churning the air into this turbulent, drag-inducing nightmare.
All right, so let's really break down what this chaotic environment actually does to a car. Because it's not just messy. It has some very real and very negative consequences for how the car drives.
Think about it. Every one of those exposed parts under your car acts like a tiny anchor in the wind. That creates drag, which makes your engine work way harder. All that turbulence also generates lift, which, at high speeds, can make the car feel light and unstable. And all of it, every bit of that chaos, it wastes fuel and even makes the car noisier inside.
So how in the world do engineers fight this invisible enemy? Well, they don't just cover things up and call it a day. They actually use some fundamental principles of physics to turn that chaotic airflow into an incredibly powerful tool.
And it all starts with this one key idea. The concept is pretty simple. If you make air move faster, its pressure drops. So by designing the underbody to speed up the air flowing beneath it, engineers create this low pressure zone. And since the air on top of the car is at a higher pressure, it pushes down, literally sucking the car onto the road. That's downforce, and it's the secret to amazing high-speed grip.
Okay, so if Bernoulli's is the what, the Venturi effect is the how. It's how they put that principle into action in the most powerful way. By shaping the underbody kind of like a funnel, narrow in the middle and then expanding out at the back, they can precisely control the air's speed and pressure. This little bit of physics magic is the secret behind the most important piece of the puzzle.
Now let's meet the hardware. And it's really important to remember, this isn't just one part. It's a whole system of components, all working together to manage the air from the second it goes under the nose to the second it leaves the tail.
So check this out. This is basically our roadmap for the air. Each piece you see here has a very specific job. We're going to walk through this map, one component at a time, to see how they all work in concert.
And these are the 4 heavy hitters, the superstars of the underbody toolkit. Each one has a totally distinct job, but it's their combined effect that completely transforms a car's performance and stability. First up, we have the gatekeeper. The front splitter is like the bouncer at the door. It does 2 crucial things. 1, it limits how much air can get under the car in the first place, which helps speed up the flow. And 2, it creates its own little area of downforce right over the front wheels. That is absolutely vital for keeping the front tires planted so your steering feels sharp and responsive.
Next, that air gets to travel on this superhighway. Flat underbody panels or under trays seem really simple, but they're a game changer. By just covering up all those messy bits we saw earlier, they create a smooth, totally uninterrupted path for the air. This dramatically cuts down on turbulence, and it's one of the biggest things you can do to lower a car's overall drag.
Okay, this is so important. You've just created this fast-moving, low-pressure zone under the car. The side skirts act like walls, sealing it off. They physically stop the slower, high-pressure air from the sides of the car from rushing in and wrecking the whole effect. Without good seals, the entire system just falls apart.
And finally, the star of the show, the rear diffuser. As that fast-moving, low-pressure air hits this expanding channel, it starts to slow down, and as pressure goes back up. This whole process acts like a vacuum, powerfully sucking air out from under the car. That accelerates the flow across the entire flat floor and generates massive amounts of downforce at the back. It's what keeps a car rock solid and stable through high-speed corners.
All right, so we've covered the physics, we've covered the parts, but what does all this complex engineering actually mean for you, the driver? Let's talk about the real-world payoff.
And the payoffs are things you can actually feel and measure. Because the engine isn't fighting as much drag, you get better fuel economy. Because the car is being physically pushed onto the road, it feels way more stable and secure at speed. This clever airflow management even helps cool things like your brakes and exhaust, and it can make the cabin a whole lot quieter.
And just look at the difference here. It's night and day.
A standard, messy underbody adds a huge amount to a car's drag coefficient, but by simply smoothing out and managing that flow with a proper underbody system, engineers can slash that number. That leads to all those benefits we just talked about.
Now, you might think a few percent isn't a big deal, but the economic impact can be huge. For commercial trucks, the ones that live on the highway, just adding some underbody panels and skirts can cut fuel consumption by 5 to 10%. Now multiply that across an entire fleet of thousands of trucks, we're talking about millions of dollars in savings.
So, I know what you might be thinking. This is all cool, but it's just for supercars and F1 racers, right? Well, not anymore. These exact same principles are being used across the entire car industry. They're just tailored for different jobs.
Let's just break this down. For your average passenger car, the focus is all on efficiency, so they use partial panels to smooth things out. A performance car, it's all in. Full flat floor, aggressive diffuser, anything for maximum downforce. Electric vehicles have this natural advantage with their huge flat battery packs, and they seal the whole thing up to get every last mile of range. And yeah, even trucks and SUVs are getting in on it, using aerodynamic skid plates that protect the important bits while still helping manage airflow.
Now, because all of this technology is pretty much invisible, a few myths have popped up over the years. So let's take a second to clear the air and set the record straight on a few of the most common ones.
Okay, myth number 1, only spoilers create downforce. Nope. The truth is, a really well-designed underbody can generate way more downforce and do it much more efficiently. And no, flat floors are not just for the racetrack anymore. Go look under a modern EV or even a lot of new sedans, they're becoming standard. And finally, the big one, more air under the car is not better. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Controlled, accelerated airflow is what really matters.
So, if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. We have to stop thinking of the underbody as just empty space. It's not. It's an active, powerful, and totally invisible engine. It is a highly sophisticated system designed to bend the laws of physics to make a car safer, faster, and more efficient.
Kind of changes how you look at things, doesn't it? The real engineering magic, the stuff that truly defines how a car feels on the road, is often completely hidden from view. What you see is really just the beginning of the story.